So we'll begin today in a comfortable seated position and start with just a little bit of centering, a little bit of meditation. So allow your shoulders to roll back and down. If you're sitting up on something, it's always good to scooch to the very edge and perch on the edge of the cushion or the folded blanket or the block. And close your eyes. And take a moment to acknowledge your body, this physicality that is doing everything it can for you every moment of every day, keeping your heart beating, keeping you going. Just notice how you're feeling physically, acknowledging any injuries, any curious sensation that you may be working with today. And then notice that you're breathing and feel your breath moving in and out. It's a nice rhythmic breath. Noticing if there's any imprint on your breath from the kind of day you're having, the kind of mood you're in. So allow the breath to be a bridge between the body and the mind. Allow the breath to teach you. Allow the breath to guide you. And if you haven't already done so, by simply turning your attention to the breath, begin to deepen the breath, begin to slow it down. As you inhale, feel the belly fill, the rib cage expand, the breath moving perhaps up over the collarbones. Breathing out slowly. Make sure you empty completely, push everything out. And from that space of emptiness, inhale, belly, rib cage, upper chest, slow exhalation, upper chest, rib cage, following the breath all the way out, little squeeze of the belly. One more, inhale, fill the belly. Expand all the way around three-dimensionally, taking the breath as high up into the chest as you're able. Pause here at the top. Relax your face, relax your jaw. You're not underwater, it's just a suspension, just a pause. Maybe sip in a little bit more breath. Slow exhalation. Emptying completely. And take a deep breath in. Let it go out through your mouth. Notice how you feel. Sit quietly for a few more moments. Noticing that impulse to rush, to get on to what's next. I think the universe might be trying to teach all of us to slow down a little bit. There's no hurry. See how many different things you can be aware of right now. Sound, sensations, thoughts. Chandran says everything that arises is fresh, the essence of realization. And take a deep breath in, out through your mouth. Allow your eyes to blink open. Namaste. Okay. Let's lie down. Pardon. Lay all the way down onto your back. And begin here with a big, full body stretch. Just start to reach through your fingertips. Squiggle side to side. Just like you are waking up all over again. And then bend your knees. Bring your feet here onto the mat. And allow your knees to start windshield wiping. Just gently, side to side. And then bring the feet back, hip width apart, and draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Just squeeze it in. And now pretend that you're holding a very long paintbrush here in between your knees. It's very, very long. And you're just going to start to paint little circles on the ceiling. Pardon. Little circles. So you're massaging right into the sacral area. And take those circles in the other way. These little itty-bitty circles. And then again, take the circles back to the first way. And this time, allow them to get a little bit bigger. Bigger circles. So you're painting circles on the ceiling. Painting circles, spiraling the circles back in. And then go the other direction. Maybe you change your paint color. I've often said to my students at the studio that one of these days I'm going to find a way to get really long paintbrushes and we're actually going to decorate the ceiling. I think it might be really pretty. And come back through center, and then give yourself a squeeze. And now take the knees enough away from your belly that you feel this natural curve of your low back. Bring the arms out nice and wide. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, allow the knees to melt over to the right. So the left shoulder is heavy. And you can always use a prop. You could put a block or a blanket underneath your right thigh. You could take the right hand onto the outer strip of the left thigh and think of space here between the armpit and the left hip. Breathing into the compression on the right side, the space you're creating to the left side. Maybe let the gaze drop out over the left hand. Find that slow, full breath. If you're familiar with Dirga or Ujjayi Pranayam, you're welcome to engage one of those techniques. If that's unfamiliar to you, fret not. It's no big deal. You can learn these techniques. But for right now, just nice, slow, deep, generous breath. Two more. One. Take a deep breath in. And use the strength of your core on the exhalation to bring the knees back through center. And then bring your feet back down onto the ground. And again, we'll take that big full body stretch. Just reaching through your fingertips, stretching long through your legs. And for a moment, just relax here and notice the difference between your right side and your left side, if there is any. Okay. And then bend your knees again. And feet come a little bit wider. Windshield wipe, right and left. You don't have to go very far here, just very gentle, checking in with your hips and your low back. I feel like I've been doing a lot more vinyasa lately than gentle, and it's interesting how different it is and how important it is to practice both, right? If you are practicing vinyasa, it's so important to also practice more of this gentle style. Vinyasa is wonderful, I love it, but I can really feel this in my body today, that I need this right now. I hope you do too. Okay. And then come back through center. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself another squeeze. And then take the knees enough away that you feel the natural curve in the low back. Arms come out wide. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Let the knees melt over to the left. Right shoulder heavy. And again, can use a prop underneath the left thigh. And take the left hand here onto the outer strip of the right thigh. Think of space here between the shoulder and the hip. Maybe take the gaze out over your right hand. And breathe. So in yoga, the breath is everything. The breath is the teacher, the breath is the guide. You're taking this physicality, the body, and we're putting it into these different shapes. But the key then is to breathe deeply. And that compression you feel, the stretching you feel, all of that is part of it. Right? And especially here in this twist, we're creating a squeeze and soak. So we have this compression happening, and you're coupling that with this really slow, full, generous breath, getting a lot of oxygen into your bloodstream. So that in a moment when we release, all of that freshly oxygenated blood floods into the areas where there was just compression. So this is great for the digestive system, great for your spine. And 2 more deep breaths. 1. And deep breath in. And exhale, knees come back through center. Move slowly. Give yourself a squeeze. And then again, you come down onto the mat and take that big, full body stretch. You can interlace your fingers and press your palms away from the crown of your head. And just pause. Notice how you feel. Bend your knees. And again, bring the feet to the width of the mat. And let the knees windshield wipe. Right and left. And this time, maybe go a little bit further in each direction. Just move slowly. Just checking in with your range of motion. You don't want any sharp or shooting pain ever. And remember that this is your practice. And at any time, you can shift, you can modify, you can adjust, you can take rest as you need to. You could just lay here and listen and imagine doing the practice. There is benefit therein. Next time your knees drop over to the right, just pause for a moment, breathing here into the left hip. And if it's available, you can pick the right foot up off the ground, take the pinky edge of the right foot and rest it on top of the left thigh. Now, it may look to you as though I'm doing the opposite of what I am saying. And take that back up. Windshield wipe again, gently, side to side. And then when the knees drop over to the left, again, just pause. Let this top hip, right hip get a little space, a little breath here. And if it's available, left foot, pick it up, take the pinky edge right onto the outer side of the right thigh. Like a little sandbag. Just breathe into it. This side might feel very different. You weren't stamped out in a factory, so even your bones one side to the other are not, mirror images or symmetrical. Couple more deep breaths. And if your left foot went atop the right leg, bring it back down. And windshield wipe. Gently right to left. Come back through to center. Draw the knees in. Give yourself a little squeeze, a little rock. And then you have a choice here. You can rock over to your right side and press yourself up to sit. Or if it's available, you can grab the back of the legs and take some spinal rocks. Whee, up and down the length of the spine. And then rocking yourself all the way up to sit. So as you find your comfortable seat here, just notice how you feel. Notice how you feel. And sitting up nice and tall, walk your fingertips forward. Let the forehead drop down toward the earth. And breathe. You can gently press into your hands so you feel the weight push back into your hips. And pop up onto your fingertips and walk your fingertips over to the left. Now root down into your right sits bone and spider crawl your right fingertips at this diagonal so you feel a gentle stretch here through the right side of the body. One more deep breath here. Good. And then walk your hands back to center. And take a deep breath in. And walk the fingertips over to the right. Now you'll feel how your left side of your bottom wants to lift up and you kind of want to tip over. So keep that rooted. Keep the left sits bone rooted and spider crawl the left fingertips. You can let your forehead drop down. Deep breath. Walking the hands back through center and walk the fingertips back in. And take another moment. Notice how you feel. Let's come up onto the hands and the knees. And we'll come into a tabletop posture. Knees directly underneath the hips, hands directly underneath the shoulders. And take a few rounds of the cat and dog stretch. Exhale, rounding the spine, pressing the ground away. Inhale, drawing the chest forward. Exhale and round. Inhale, forward. Exhale and round. Inhale, forward. Exhale, round. Inhale. Good, and come back through to a neutral spine. So we'll take the puppy stretch, or Anahatasana. Anahata is the heart chakra, the heart center. We're going to be melting the heart toward the ground, and this looks a lot like what you've seen cats and dogs do almost every time they get up, because they're just natural yogis and they know how to feel good in their body. We sort of lose that at some point, get conditioned. So hips stay directly over the knees. Walk your hands forward, and they can come wide. And if you have any shoulder sensitivity, put a little bend into your elbows here. And then begin to melt your chest down. And it does not matter how far you go. Buckle the floor between your hands so your arms are active. Arms are active. Melting the chest. You can imagine your upper back is a piece of toast. And you put a nice pat of butter right in between your shoulder blades, and the butter melts. And perhaps it's Ezekiel bread, and perhaps it's vegan butter. Just melt it down. One more deep breath. Lift back up. Walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. Take the knees to the width of the mat, the big toes to touch. And if it's available to you, sit all the way down onto your heels. If this is too much flexion in your knees, don't worry about it. You could always put a folded blanket underneath your thighs so that it's not quite as much flexion, or even a cushion or a bolster. Just gently stretching the front thigh muscles, rocking a little bit to loosen up through the ankles. Bring your fingertips onto the ground. Take a deep breath. And exhale, walk your hands out a little bit further. Now pause. Notice if you're rushing. Oh, right, child's pose, splat. Move into it really slowly, really mindfully. Deep breath here. And then walk the hands out. Exhale. Little smush, little sway, can feel really good. Another deep breath. Feel how your belly is filling into your thighs. Slow exhale. One more deep breath. Exhale. Let the forehead melt to the ground. Now keep your arms active here. So pressing the inner elbows towards straight. Pressing the ground away from you so you feel a lengthening through your spine. And imagine a fern imprinted on your back. As you inhale, you're breathing up the center of the fern and then out into the leaves, out through the rib cage. Exhale, feel the weight in the forehead. 2 more like that. And 1 more. And lifting it back up slowly as though you're emerging from a cocoon. Bring the knees back underneath the hips. Just give your tail a little wag here. And stand up onto your shins. Take your right leg straight out to the right. Now, if your knee is feeling sensitive, if you're on a really hard floor, you could always put a very thinly folded blanket underneath your knee to give a little extra padding. Start with the right heel down and the toes pointing up if you're able, and just swing your hips a little bit, just some little micro movements. Okay, and then try to bring the hips even. Now turn the right toes so they're forward, the foot is flat. Inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale, start to just get longer here through your left side. So moving very slowly. Again, notice that impulse to rush, especially if you're familiar with the posture. The impulse is to just get there really quickly. Instead, explore the sensation, explore the space as you get even longer here through your left side. And then eventually allowing the right arm to melt down and arcing over into Parigasan, the gate pose. I like to imagine I'm holding the full moon between my hands. Or if I'm hungry or craving sweets, a big cookie. So whatever floats your boat. Deep breath. 1 more. And inhale, slowly lifting it back up. Now, take your left hand and drop it down and start to get longer here through your right side. You can wiggle your fingers, reach them up toward the ceiling, and look down to the left. And if that looks really far away and terrifying, grab one of your blocks. Just come back out of the pose, get a block, come back in. There's no hurry. If it's available, allow the left hand to come all the way down, those fingertips down, and then take the right arm, reach it up and over. Deep breath here. If your neck is sensitive today, you can take the gaze right down to the ground, imagining a sandbag in the front of your forehead. You could turn the gaze straight forward, or Or you could look up toward the inside of the arm. Deep breath. Now, let your bottom go back slightly and the arm comes forward so you can safely bring this right hand down and then walk the hands forward so that you're in a tabletop posture but with a kickstand. Okay. Now, press down into your right hand and feel this cross balance between the right hand and the left knee. Reach your left arm out to the side. And breathe. Bend the left elbow, bring it down to the ground directly underneath your left shoulder. And pop up onto your right fingertips. And start to create this gentle twist. Push down into the elbow, push into the fingertips. Turn the gaze to look up toward the ceiling. And this could be plenty. This could be where you stay and you breathe. Less is almost always more in yoga practice. If it's available to you, right arm is straight, hand onto the earth, push down, and then thread the left arm underneath. Pushing into the outer shoe of the left arm, pushing into your right hand. And if you want to go a little bit further, angle the left leg so your toe is pointing toward the right foot, and then maybe reach your right arm up. Deep breath. If the right arm went up, put the hand down, press into it, and come back to your tabletop posture with a kickstand. Bring the right knee underneath the right hip. Give your tail a little wag. And stand back up onto your shins. Let's roll the shoulders. Roll them up, back and down. You can take a moment here. One hand over your heart center, one hand over your belly. Just notice how you feel. Check back in. Check back in with the body, physicality, Anna Maya Kosha. Check in with the breath, that layer of energy, the electricity to the computer of the physicality. Pranamaya kosha. Check in with your headspace, your thoughts, coming and going, some related to what you're doing right now, some absolutely not. Just notice the thoughts. Manamaya kosha. Body, breath, mind. Holding it all in a space of non-judgmental, compassionate self-awareness. Okay, let your eyes blink open. And drop your arms down. And we will take the other side of Parigasana, the gate pose. This is one of the oft overlooked postures in yoga that I think is so great. And we should all do it more often. So start by swinging the hips. This one for me really shows me when I have any kind of hip imbalance. It's probably the one that most brings to light if one of my hips is kind of cranked up a little bit. So turn the toes forward, foot down. Try to even out the hips. Reach your arms up. Inhale. Now again, we're moving slowly. Even though you know what's coming next, can you really explore the space? So I'm still little wiggles, little squiggles, just kind of, what's happening here? My left hip feels very different than my right hip felt. And then get a little bit taller here through your right side. Nice deep breath. little bit longer, like your fingertips could reach the ceiling. Keep pressing your pelvis forward, core strong, not dumping into your low back. Use the breath. Slowly letting the left arm make its way down to the leg. And then holding the moon or the cookie or the pizza, whatever you want to hold. Find that Dirga Ujjayi Pranayam. Notice where you have to be active, where you have to be strong, and where you could soften. Probably your jaw, probably your face could relax. One more deep breath. And inhale, slowly bringing it back up. Use the strength of your core. Now, right hand drops down to the ground. Start to get longer through your left side. Look down, check out the distance. See if it feels too far. If it feels too far, grab your block. And we start to come down. Press the pelvis forward. Push into the fingertips, draw the shoulders down away from the ears. And notice what's happening with your neck. Don't let your neck drop back into extension. Keep the neck long, keep it neutral. So it might feel like you need to tuck your chin a little bit. You could always turn the gaze down toward the earth or up toward the inside of your arm. Full breath. And then the bottom starts to slide back a little bit. Your upper body starts to come forward like a lever until you can safely and comfortably bring the hands down. And we're here in that kickstand tabletop posture. Feel the cross balance between your right knee and your left hand and reach your right arm out to the side. Full breath, engaging through the core. Draw the belly in and up away from the earth. And then bend the right elbow and place it onto the ground right underneath your shoulder. Pop up onto your left fingertips. And again, this could be plenty. This could be your pose. This is perfect. This is wonderful. Pushing into the elbow, finding a slight twist to the spine, gaze up. You want to make sure you're not going to strain your neck by coming all the way down, right? So less is almost always more. If it's available, take the left arm long. Keep sliding the right arm through so you come down onto the side of the head. No strain in the neck. Pressing the left hand into the earth. Pressing the outer strip of the right arm down. Push down, create space. If it's available, point to your right toes towards your left heel and maybe reach your left arm up. Breathe. One more deep breath. And if the arm went up, bring the hand down, press into it mindfully. Unwind. Bringing your left knee back underneath your hip and sit down onto your heels for a moment. All the postures have an entry point where we come into the pose and then we sustain the pose, whether it's for 1 breath or 10 breaths or 5 minutes. And then we release the posture. And a lot of times, we sort of go right into the next point. We enter, we sustain, we release, and we just jump right back into entering. But when we do that, we really miss the magic. And I think that this applies not only in yoga postures. You can contemplate that later. So What we need to add to any experience, whether it's a yoga posture or otherwise, is entry, sustain, release, then integrate, receive, and then transition. Transition mindfully to the next point of entry, whatever that may be. So we enter, sustain, release, integrate, transition. And all 5 of these are equally important. So with that said, let's enter a tabletop posture mindfully. Having just held a little bit of time with that explanation to integrate and transition. And walk your hands forward so that you shift your weight slightly. And now, remember earlier we painted circles on the ceiling? Now we're going to paint circles on your mat, and you're holding the paintbrush with your belly button. So, take the right hip over to the right, bottom back to the heels, left hip to the left, and back around. So painting a nice big circle on your mat with this imaginary paintbrush. And once you get the hang of the movement, you can get a little more languid with it. So the head can begin to get involved, turning to look to the right and then underneath and then to the left and then forward. And then connect this with your breath. So the exhalation takes you around and back. Inhaling, around and up. Notice if you're rushing the movement or the breath. And see if you can slow it down. And take this in the other direction. And feel how you are lubricating the wrists, the shoulders, the neck, the hips, the knees. This is one of my absolute favorite ways to just get a little bit of movement happening in a lot of the joints here in the body. It's also weight bearing, so it's very good for building your bone density. Good. And then coming back into your tabletop posture. Just take a moment. Notice how you feel. And return to your body. Coming into a comfortable seat. Inhale and reach your arms up. Interlace your fingers. Press your palms up toward the ceiling. Stretch it out. And take the arms out wide. Deep breath in. Imagine you are expanding, opening, and you're going to give the whole world a big hug. Wrapping your arms all the way around your body. And round the spine a little bit, tuck the chin, take a deep breath here. Out through your mouth. Inhale, open it up. Lift through your chest. Draw the arms back, a little squeeze of the shoulder blades together. And exhale, opposite arm on top. Hug it in. A little round of the spine, let the chin tuck. Take a deep breath here. Out through your mouth. Open the arms up wide. Reach the arms up. And exhale. Drawing the hands into the heart center. Notice how you feel. If you would like to, grab a block, or if you have a bolster or a couch cushion, that would also work. And we'll take the legs out wide. So, it doesn't have to be your high school cheerleader straddle, just as wide as feels comfortable to you right now. You don't have to have the prop, but it can be really nice to have something to rest your head upon or just to kind of lean into. The studio, I like to use the bolsters because we can turn them upright like this, and then you can drop the forehead. And this would work also with one of your couch cushions probably. Okay. So before we go into a fold here, just take a moment and check in with this straddle. And it can really help to push your fists down into the earth on either side of your hips and take some of the weight off your bottom. Find a little space through your spine. And if you're rounding in your low back, the best thing you can do is sit up on something. So this blanket, if I perch on the edge, as I did at the very beginning of the practice, okay, now this feels a lot more spacious to me. Okay. Except I moved too fast and I cramped up my hips for a moment. That's the stretch reflex. Never want to go too far too fast. It's better. Instead of your fists, you could take your blocks here as well. Push down into your blocks. Oh, a little bit of a lift. And now my pelvis feels more neutral. My spine feels a lot longer. Okay. Toes are pointing straight up, and there's a sense of the inner thighs rolling down. And if you're very bendy, say you've practiced a lot of ballet or dance, you want to make sure that you don't roll onto the inner thighs. So I find it helpful to take the thumbs right up into the hip crease and push down. So you're rooting down here through the outer thighs. At the same time, the adductors are spiraling in. And so when I come forward, if I keep my thumbs here, I can make sure I don't dump forward sort of onto the pelvic floor and the inner thighs, but rather keep this very connected and then hinge at the hips. Okay. Deep breath in and exhale. Just like we went into child's pose earlier, come forward just a teeny tiny bit, and that might right away be plenty. Never want any sharp or shooting pain. Right? It's not a competition. Now again, deep breath in. When we exhale, maybe you go a little bit further. And maybe this is where you stay, and maybe the block or the bolster goes underneath your forehead and you breathe. Right. Maybe deep breath in, exhale, maybe you find a little more space. And I think that's where I want to stop. So I'm going to turn the bolster here. Now just because I'm resting my forehead on the bolster does not mean I just sort of splat like Gumby, right? I want to find the engagement here. So my legs are still strong, pushing through the ball mounds of the feet. No strain in the low back. And this pose is called Uttanavista Konasana. And I often tell the story of how this was a posture that I worked on a lot when, I guess it would have been, 15 years ago. I was living in Nashville. I remember doing a lot of yoga on the floor in my living room of the apartment where I lived. I remember the carpet because I was working on this posture and I really wanted to get to that point where I was flat, like all the pictures in the books. So I worked and I worked and I worked and I was so excited. And one fine day, it finally happened. On an exhalation, I was all the way down. And I thought, okay, I've done it. Something magical is going to happen. Right? The heavens are going to open up. I'm going to know the meaning of life. It's all going to be clear. My first thought was, gosh, I really need to vacuum. And so much for the meaning of life. All this to say that it is the journey, not the destination. Steven Tyler was right. Couple more breaths wherever you are in the pose. And then as you're ready, walk your hands back in. Take a moment. Integrate. Receive. There's no rush. Lean back onto your fingertips and bend the knees slowly. Bring the soles of the feet together and create a diamond shape. Nice diamond shape here. It's not Baddha Konasana. The heels are not pulled in all the way to the groin. It's a longer diamond shape. This is a variation of the tortoise pose. We'll inhale and exhale, start to hinge forward. And this one is much more a myofascial release as opposed to a muscular stretch. And I think it feels really good after Uttanasana Konasana. So the forehead drops down toward the heels. Two more deep breaths. And slowly coming all the way back up. We'll take the legs straight out in front. Reach the arms up, deep breath in. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Now don't worry about how far you go. It's fine to bring the fingertips onto the earth. If you're able to reach the feet, that's great. If you grab a scarf, a strap, a Taylor Swift t-shirt works really well. Look what you made me do. Paschimottanasana. Slowly roll it back up. Come back to a comfortable seat. Inhale, reach the arms out, deep breath. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, unwind, arms reach. Exhale and twist to the right. Inhale, arms reach all the way up, deep breath. And exhale, hands into the heart center. Notice how you feel. And as you're ready, transitioning mindfully into Shavasana. If there's anything else your body needs, listen to your body. Any other shapes, any other movements. Finding your way into relaxation pose. Gathering any props you like to use, maybe a cushion underneath your knees or a bolster, maybe a blanket over the body, maybe an eye bag. Head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Arms alongside the body. Not quite touching. And take up space. So many of us have been trained and conditioned to feel as though we have to make ourselves smaller. Right? And I really encourage you in your practice of yoga to just throw that right out the window and take up as much space as you possibly can. Give yourself room. Tuck the shoulders gently underneath the body, like a bird tucking its wings. Might feel good to take your hands and pull up on the occipital ridge here, and then set the head down gently. Take a deep breath in. Let it go out through your mouth. Feel your whole body heavy, whole body sinking down into the earth. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, no way to be. I'm going to stay with you through this Shavasana, so don't worry about staying alert. I will bring you back, I promise, in a moment. Let your tongue drop heavy into the base of your mouth. Get the skin around your eyes soft. Sounds in the distance. Sounds closer by. Sounds in the room. The sound and the silence of your breath, moving in and out effortlessly. Yourself permission to take rest. Letting go. Rilke writes, be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves like locked rooms, and like books. That are written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given to you, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. Begin to deepen your breath now. Bringing gentle movement to fingers and toes, slowly waking up the body. And as you're ready, draw your knees into your chest, give yourself a squeeze. Rolling over onto your right side, pausing here for a moment before pressing yourself up to a comfortable seat. And take a moment again to notice how you feel. And the practice itself has a point of entry, a time where we sustain. We're releasing now, integrating. And then can you make this transition off of the mat and out into the rest of your day mindful, intentional. So you can take this with you, grounded in the body, steady in the mind, present, maybe a little less reactive. Able to move out into the world, making choices motivated by empathy and compassion and love. Accepting this awesome responsibility that we all share to co-create the world we live in together with our thoughts and our words and our actions. Draw your hands in front of your heart. Drop the chin to the chest, a gesture of gratitude towards self for taking the time to practice. Om Shanti, 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 Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Jai Bhagwan. Namaste. Thank you for practicing.